Hey everyone, welcome back! Today we're diving into Tower Defense Simulator, a game packed with so many towers that even seasoned players can get overwhelmed. Seriously, with so many options, how do you know which ones are actually worth bringing to battle? Some towers might look cool, but end up being total letdowns, while others secretly carry entire matches. That's where we come in. In this video, we're breaking down the ultimate TDS tower tier list, ranking the best of the best so you can build the strongest defense possible. Whether you're just starting out or looking to optimize your loadout, this list will help you choose the right towers for any map. So grab your strategizing hat and let's get into it. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking towers in Tower Defense Simulator. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The towers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Rocketeer, Soldier, Hunter, Demoman, Sniper, Paintballer, and Scout. Alright, now let's talk about some of the towers you might not see topping many tier lists in Tower Defense Simulator. These towers are in the D tier. They're not bad, but they definitely have their flaws. They can still get the job done, but you need to know when and how to use them properly. So let's break it down, shall we? First up, we have the Rocketeer. This tower is great for clearing out hordes thanks to its high splash damage. If you've got a bunch of weak enemies coming at you, the Rocketeer can totally help clean up the mess. However, here's the kicker. It has a really low fire rate. It's not going to be shooting fast enough to deal with everything on its own. Plus, the damage output is pretty inconsistent. Sometimes it hits hard, sometimes it doesn't. So, while it's solid in some situations, don't expect it to be a game changer unless you've got a solid strategy to support it. Next, we've got the Soldier, which is a great option early on. Its DPS is the highest at the start of the game, which means it can dish out some serious damage when those first waves come rolling in. But here's the thing, its bursts come with a slight delay. That delay might seem small, but it can definitely throw off your timing when you're trying to hit fast enemies. It's a good tower for getting a head start, but you might want to upgrade or swap it out as the game progresses. Then, we have the Hunter. This one's fantastic for the early to mid game because of its solid range. You can place it far away from the action and it'll still be picking off enemies. But the problem? It has a really low fire rate. While the range is awesome, you're going to need other towers around to help pick up the slack when it comes to speed. The Hunter can work wonders if you use it strategically, but it's definitely not a tower that will carry you through the late game. Let's not forget the Demoman. This guy can be a real lifesaver in the early game. His splash damage is amazing for wiping out swarms of enemies, and the fact that he detects lead on placement? That's a huge bonus. The issue though is his targeting. It's just a bit wonky. He doesn't always hit what you want him to, so you might find yourself frustrated when he's not targeting the right enemies. If you can work around his weird targeting system though, he can definitely be a solid addition to your tower lineup. Now, onto the Sniper. The Sniper is an absolute beast when it comes to range. It can hit enemies from way across the map, which is awesome, and it can even target flying, hidden, and lead enemies, making it versatile. But here's the downside. It's really weak against nimble enemies. Fast-moving mobs will zoom right past it, and that low DPS won't do much to stop them. So, while the Sniper is fantastic for clearing out slower or special units, it needs backup when it comes to handling speedier foes. Next up, we've got the Paintballer. This one is an interesting choice for the early game. It's got some decent splash damage that can help you deal with crowds, but the trade-off is that its single target DPS is really low. If you're dealing with tougher enemies that need focused damage, the Paintballer isn't the one you want. Oh, and don't expect it to help with lead detection. It can't handle that. Plus, its range is pretty short, so you'll need to place it close to the action. It's a decent tower for early waves, but it falls off pretty quickly. Let's also talk about the Scout. This is another tower that's decent early on, mainly because it's affordable and gets the job done against the first waves. The Scout also has hidden detection once it hits level 2, which is great for dealing with those sneaky little mobs. However, its DPS is really low, so it won't hold up well as the game goes on. It's a solid starting tower, but you'll likely be swapping it out for something stronger once the game picks up. So yeah, these D-tier towers have their place, but they're definitely not the stars of the show. They're good for specific situations like the early game or handling certain types of enemies, but they lack the consistent power you might want in the later stages. It's all about knowing when to use them and when to pivot to something more reliable. With the right strategy, these towers can still help you get the job done. Just don't expect them to carry you through the toughest waves. The towers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Military Base, Mortar, Golden Scout, Warden, Shotgunner, and Militant. Alright, so you've made it to the C tier, huh? These towers are solid, don't get me wrong, they've got some serious potential when used right, but they come with a few hiccups. They're not bad by any means, but if you're looking to dominate the game, you might want to look elsewhere. Let's go ahead and dive into these towers and see what they're all about. First on the list is the Military Base. If you're looking for range and DPS, this tower is definitely one to consider. It's got both in spades. Perfect for taking on hordes and bosses, you'll see this tower really shine when things start to get intense. The catch here, though, is that the units it spawns can't be buffed. No extra power-ups for them, which means you've got to rely on the military base itself to carry the weight. It's still a great tower in the right situations, but that little flaw can hold it back from reaching its full potential. Then there's the Mortar, which has some amazing range and is perfect for clearing out swarms of enemies with its explosive splash damage. It's great against hordes, and it also has decent single-target DPS for those tougher enemies. But, of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The Mortar has a pretty slow fire rate, and you can only place 5 of them at a time. This means that while it's awesome for certain parts of the game, you can't rely on it to handle everything. You'll need to use it strategically, but when you do, it can be a powerhouse. Let's talk about the Golden Scout next. This one's a fan favorite for the early game because it's cheap to upgrade and does a good job at handling those early waves of enemies. It's a solid budget tower that won't break the bank, and you can get it to higher levels without much effort. But the downside is its short range. You'll need to place it close to the action to make the most of it, which can be a bit risky when enemies start to get tougher. Still, for the early game, it's a reliable option, especially if you need to save up for the bigger towers later. Next up, we've got the Warden. This one's a little more specialized because it can stun enemies, which is super helpful for slowing them down and buying you some time. Plus, its single-target DPS is insanely high, making it a great choice for taking down those tanky mobs. However, it has a very short range and it struggles against hordes, so while it can be a beast in certain scenarios, you'll need to make sure you're placing it in the right spots to make the most of its abilities. If you can position it properly, though, it can be a game changer. Now, let's talk about the Shotgunner. This tower is pretty fun because its shots pierce through enemies, meaning it can handle groups of enemies much better than other single-target towers. It's also pretty versatile, working well both in the early and late game. The downside? It's got very low range, so you'll have to place it close to the action. That can be a bit tricky when enemies start moving fast or when things get chaotic, but when you position it right, it can tear through waves of enemies like a hot knife through butter. Moving on to the Militant, which has decent DPS and good range. It's one of those towers that doesn't have any major flaws but doesn't exactly blow you away either. The issue with the Militant is that it's expensive to upgrade. If you're planning to use it, you'll need to save up some cash and plan accordingly, as it won't give you that instant power boost like some of the other towers. But when fully upgraded, it can really hold its own, especially with that solid range. Just be prepared for those high upgrade costs. Overall, these C-tier towers can be great tools in your arsenal, but they all come with their own unique limitations. You'll need to think strategically and plan your placements carefully to get the most out of them. They won't be your all-stars, but in the right hands, they can definitely hold their own and make a difference. So, if you're looking to shake things up in your tower defense strategy, don't sleep on these towers. They might just surprise you. The towers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Pursuit, Minigunner, Crook Boss, Trapper, and Golden Soldier. Alright, let's move up to the B tier. These towers are definitely stronger than those in the C tier, but they still have some quirks that prevent them from breaking into the A tier. They're solid, reliable, and can hold their own in most situations. You just need to be mindful of their limitations. So let's dive into these mid-tier contenders and see what they bring to the table. First up, we've got the Pursuit. This tower is pretty versatile with 2 upgrade paths that let you customize it depending on your needs. The top upgrade path offers excellent single-target DPS, while the bottom path shines with splash DPS, making it a great choice for taking on both high health and swarm enemies. The only problem is that it's expensive to upgrade, so you'll need to have some cash saved up to really get it to its full potential. Plus, its DPS can be a little inconsistent, so you might find yourself wishing it was a bit more reliable in some situations. Still, when it's working right, it's a powerhouse. Next, let's talk about the Minigunner. This one is a fan favorite, and for good reason. It delivers excellent DPS throughout both the early and late game, and it's relatively cheap to upgrade compared to other high DPS towers. The catch? It has to rev up before it starts attacking, so there's a slight delay before it starts dishing out damage. Plus, it doesn't have lead or flying detection, which can be a problem if you're facing those types of enemies. But if you can manage those few downsides, the minigunner is a total beast for mowing down enemies in the middle of the battlefield. Now, the Crook boss is a bit of a wild card. It's an excellent choice for the early game, offering solid DPS to get you through those early waves. But the Crook boss really starts to fall off as the game progresses. Its range is pretty short, and it has a low placement limit, so you won't be able to rely on it for long. Still, it has its moments when you need a little extra muscle early on, and it does provide some useful sub-DPS in the late game if you place it strategically. Just know that it won't carry you to victory on its own in the late stages. Moving on to the Trapper, which is a bit of a hidden gem in the B tier. The Trapper has 3 different trap types, each with its own unique use, making it a really flexible tower. One of the best parts is that it deals damage to hidden enemies, which can be a real lifesaver. Plus, the bear traps can stun enemies for 3 seconds, giving you some much-needed crowd control. It's great for both the early and late game, but the downside is that it takes a little time to set up. So, if you're looking for something that can handle things right off the bat, the Trapper might not be your first pick, but once it gets going, it's definitely worth the wait. Now, let's talk about the Golden Soldier. This tower is a solid choice for the early to mid-game. It's got decent range and good DPS, making it a reliable option when you need consistent damage output. But as you hit the late game, the Golden Soldier starts to fall off. Its DPS just doesn't scale as well as some of the other towers, and it can't keep up with tougher enemies. If you need something to get you through the early waves though, the Golden Soldier can definitely pull its weight. Overall, these B-tier towers can be real workhorses in your strategy, but they do have their limits. They shine in certain situations, but you'll need to supplement them with other towers that can cover their weaknesses. Whether it's the versatile Pursuit, the powerful minigunner, or the tricky Trapper, these towers are all about finding the right moment to unleash their potential. So if you've got them in your lineup, just make sure you're using them at the right time, and they can definitely help carry you through the game.
The towers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Golden Minigunner, Turret, Necromancer, Accelerator, and Brawler. Alright, now we're getting into the good stuff. The A-tier towers. These towers are the real MVPs of Tower Defense Simulator. They're powerful, versatile, and can hold their own in almost any situation. But like all great things, they come with a price. Let's break down what makes these towers so amazing and what you'll need to consider before you dive in. First, let's talk about the Golden Minigunner. This tower is a beast when it comes to DPS. We're talking some of the highest damage output in the game. Plus, it has decent range, so you can place it in spots where it'll cover a lot of ground. It's especially great against enemies with defense, shredding through those pesky armored foes with ease. The catch? It's expensive to upgrade. You'll need to save up a good chunk of cash to really get this tower to its full potential. But once you do, it's an absolute game changer. Next up is the Turret, and if you're looking for pure damage, look no further. The Turret is one of the highest DPS towers in the entire game, making it an absolute powerhouse for late-game waves. It has a solid range and can handle almost anything that comes its way. The downside? It's ridiculously expensive to upgrade. So while it can melt through even the toughest enemies, you'll need to plan your resources carefully and be prepared to invest heavily in it. But if you manage to get it fully upgraded, you're in for one heck of a ride. Let's move on to the Necromancer, which is a super fun tower for those who love a little chaos. This one's a summoner tower, and it summons hordes of undead minions to do your bidding. Not only that, but the Necromancer has high DPS, making it a solid choice for dealing with both regular and tougher enemies. However, it's a little on the pricey side when it comes to upgrades, and it has a huge damage ramp-up time, meaning it won't be immediately useful once placed. But if you can get through that initial ramp-up, it becomes an incredibly powerful ally in the late game. The Accelerator is up next, and this tower brings very high single-target DPS to the table. It's perfect for taking down tough, high-health enemies in a hurry. The only issue here is that the Accelerator's lock-on mechanic can sometimes cause leaks, which can be a problem if you're not careful. It also has a hefty upgrade cost, so you'll need to make sure you have enough resources to make it work. But if you can make it work, the Accelerator is a top-tier tower for high DPS and precision. Let's not forget about the Brawler. If you want raw DPS with a little extra spice, this is your tower. The Brawler delivers excellent damage, and its final hits knock enemies back, which can be a lifesaver when things get crowded. It's also cheaper to upgrade compared to other late-game DPS towers, making it a solid option if you're looking for something powerful without breaking the bank. The only downside? Its range is tiny, so you'll need to place it in just the right spot to get the most out of it. But if you can manage that, the Brawler can really pack a punch. Now, if you're stacking these towers in your strategy, you're definitely setting yourself up for success. But even with these top-tier towers, you'll need to think about placement, timing, and upgrades. They all have some serious firepower, but they come with their own challenges that require a bit of finesse. Don't get discouraged if things don't work out right away. With the right strategy and some smart upgrades, you'll be wiping the floor with enemies in no time. So that's the A tier. These towers bring the damage, they bring the power, and with the right setup, they can help you crush through some of the toughest waves in Tower Defense Simulator. Sure, they're expensive and need some careful planning, but when you get them to their full potential, you'll be laughing your way to victory. Keep experimenting with these towers and see how they fit into your strategy.
The towers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Gatling Gun, Engineer, Ranger, and Golden Crook Boss. Alright, let's talk about the heavy hitters of Tower Defense Simulator, the S-tier towers. These are the absolute best of the best, the ones that you want in your lineup if you're looking to crush those waves like a pro. But, as always, there's a catch. They might cost a pretty penny, so you'll need to plan your strategy wisely. Let's break down the S-tier towers and see what makes them so special. First, we've got the Gatling Gun. This tower is an absolute monster. Not only does it have excellent range and DPS, but it also has the unique ability to be manually controlled. That's right, you can aim and fire it yourself for maximum destruction. And when you manually control it, its shots pierce through enemies, making it perfect for dealing with large groups of enemies that are stacking up. The downside? It's extremely expensive to upgrade, so you'll need to save up if you want to make this one a powerhouse. But trust me, once it's fully upgraded, it's a game changer. Next up, we have the Engineer. This tower is a fantastic all-rounder with extremely high DPS and good range, which makes it great for both early, mid, and late game. What sets it apart, though, is its ability to build sentries as the game goes on, adding even more damage. The catch is that its damage has to ramp up by building these sentries, so it might take a little while to get going, but once it does, it can dish out some serious hurt. If you have the patience to let it build up, the Engineer can be a top-tier tower for your defense strategy. Then there's the Ranger, and let me tell you, this one's got some serious range and damage. It's got an incredibly high range, and can deal a lot of damage from a distance. Plus, it even buffs the range of nearby towers at the start of each wave, which can make a huge difference in your overall setup. The downside, though, is that its fire rate is very low, and it's pretty weak in the early game. So, while it's amazing in the late game, you'll need to pair it with some other towers early on to survive until it kicks in. Let's not forget the Golden Crook Boss. This tower is just as powerful as its regular counterpart, but with a little extra flair. It has excellent DPS both with and without the goons it spawns, making it super versatile for different stages of the game. The Golden Crook Boss works well in both the early and late game, giving you that reliable damage output when you need it most. However, it's pretty expensive to upgrade, and the goons have low HP, which means they won't last long against tougher enemies. Still, when fully upgraded, the Golden Crook Boss can be a game winner. So there you have it. The S-tier towers are the best of the best, but they come with their own sets of challenges, whether it's the high cost or the need for patience to let them fully ramp up. If you can make them work for you, though, you'll find that they can absolutely carry your defense strategy to victory. Whether it's the Gatling Gun's raw power, the Engineer's sentries, or the Ranger's insane range, these towers can turn the tide in your favor. You just need to plan wisely and use them at the right time. The towers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, DJ Booth, Farm, Golden Cowboy, and Cowboy. Alright, let's talk about the economy tier, where the towers aren't necessarily there to destroy enemies directly, but instead, they help fuel your strategy by generating that sweet, sweet cash. These towers are all about keeping your economy in check, so you can upgrade and place more powerful towers as the game progresses. They're super helpful, but they do have their drawbacks that you'll need to watch out for. First up, we've got the DJ Booth, and let me tell you, this tower is a beast when it comes to support. It's one of the best in the game, no doubt,
The green track it offers generates income, which is crucial for boosting your cash flow. The purple track slows enemies down and increases the range of nearby towers, which is just a fantastic bonus. And the red track, it reduces enemy defenses and buffs the damage of nearby towers. The only downside is that you can only place one DJ booth per player, so you'll need to use it wisely. But when placed correctly, it's a game changer for your economy and tower buffs. Next, let's talk about the farm. The farm is a classic for generating cash. It's super reliable early on and will help you stack up some serious funds. The issue is that, as the game progresses, it starts to fall off. Once the late game hits and enemies get tougher, farms just can't keep up with the need for more powerful towers. They're great for getting your economy rolling at the start, but you'll need to transition to stronger methods later on. Moving on, we have the Golden Cowboy. This tower is a solid economy choice because it provides excellent income generation while also having decent DPS and range for those early waves. However, the Golden Cowboy has one major flaw. It's just not worth upgrading to max level. While it's great for generating cash and holding things down in the early game, it doesn't scale well into the late game, so don't expect it to carry you through tougher waves. Still, for what it is, it's a solid pick for starting out. Then there's the Cowboy, which is also a decent tower for generating income. It has good single-target DPS and can hold its own for a while, but like the Golden Cowboy, it falls off in the late game. Its short range can also be a bit of a problem, especially as enemies start to move faster and require more damage to take down. If you're relying on the Cowboy to carry you into the late game, you might be in for a rough ride. But if you use it early and then transition to stronger towers, it can still play a helpful role in your strategy. To wrap things up, these economy tier towers can really help you get your game rolling by giving you the cash you need for the big guns later on. The DJ booth is an absolute gem if used correctly, while the farm, Golden Cowboy, and Cowboy all offer solid income but can't quite keep up as the game gets tougher. Just remember, you'll need to transition out of these towers as the late game approaches, so don't rely on them too heavily. They're the support your strategy needs, but not the stars of the show. The towers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Commander, Mercenary Base, Freezer, Golden Pyromancer, Medic, Electroshocker, Pyromancer, and Ace Pilot. Alright, now we're getting into the support tier. These towers aren't the ones you'd rely on for straight up damage, but when it comes to buffing your other towers or providing useful crowd control, they're absolute lifesavers. They're the unsung heroes of Tower Defense Simulator, making sure your main damage-dealing towers have everything they need to succeed. So let's dive in and take a closer look at these game-changing support towers. First up, let's talk about the Commander. This tower is a team player through and through. Its main job is to increase the attack speed of nearby towers, which is a huge boost for your overall DPS. The units it spawns also come with decent range and DPS, so it can hold its own in battle. But here's the kicker. The Commander can only deal damage when its ability Call to Arms is active. So while it's great for boosting your other towers, it can't be relied on for consistent damage unless you've got that ability up and running. Make sure you're timing it right. Next, we've got the Mercenary Base. If you're looking for a tower that can provide both offense and support, the Mercenary Base is a great choice. It buffs the damage of nearby towers, making it a strong addition to any team. Plus, it spawns a variety of offensive and support units to help you out. The downside, though, is that it's very expensive to upgrade. You'll need to have some serious cash saved up to unlock its full potential, but once you do, it can be a real game changer. Now let's take a look at the Freezer. This tower is fantastic for slowing down and freezing enemies, giving you a little extra breathing room when the waves start getting overwhelming. But it does more than just freeze. It also reduces enemy defense with each attack, which is perfect for dealing with tough, armored enemies. However, it's not without its drawbacks. The Freezer doesn't detect flying or lead enemies, so you'll need other towers to handle those types. Still, when it comes to crowd control, the Freezer's got you covered. The Golden Pyromancer is another great support option, especially when you're dealing with enemies that have strong defenses. Its ability to melt through those defenses makes it incredibly useful, and it can also provide some decent early game DPS. The problem, however, is its low range. You'll need to place it closer to the action to make the most of it. But if you can position it right, the Golden Pyromancer can absolutely burn through the toughest enemies. If you're looking for a healer, the Medic is your go-to support tower. It heals back the HP you lose with each wave, which can be incredibly useful when things are getting intense. It also cleanses stunned towers around it, making sure your defenses stay up and running even when enemies are causing trouble. The medic is a solid choice for the early game, but it does have one major weakness. Its DPS is very low. So while it's fantastic at keeping your towers alive, it won't be winning any damage-dealing contests. Let's not forget about the Electroshocker, which is another great support tower that stuns enemies. The Electroshocker can be super helpful in both the early and late game, as stunning enemies can completely change the flow of battle. The only downside is its short range, so you'll need to place it in a spot where it can hit the most enemies possible. But when used strategically, it can be a real lifesaver. Another tower in this tier is the Pyromancer, which specializes in melting defenses and crowd control. It's fantastic for clearing out groups of enemies, especially those with tough armor. The only downside is its very low DPS, so it can struggle against tougher, more resilient enemies. Still, if you need something that can handle large groups, the Pyromancer is an excellent choice. Finally, we've got the Ace Pilot, which gives hidden detection to nearby towers and deals high damage. This makes it a great support tower if you're dealing with sneaky, hidden enemies. The problem, however, is its low range and inconsistent DPS. So while it can be an asset when used in the right situation, you'll need to carefully manage its positioning and timing. So there you have it, the support tier towers. These towers may not deal the most damage on their own, but their abilities to buff, heal, stun, and freeze enemies can make all the difference in a tough match. If you're looking to complement your main damage-dealing towers and give your strategy that extra edge, these support towers are definitely worth considering. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.